Hello everyone, my name is Darlissa with Catbird Studios, and I'm going to be playing Among Trees. I've been playing this for a couple of weeks now, and I'm really enjoying it. I love the music, I love the aesthetics, the modeling, the graphics, everything. It just calms me down as I'm playing. One of the things I'll be doing is as I'm going, I'll be giving some tips and tricks. For example, if there's something I'm not going to pick up for, I'll tell you why. Maybe I don't need it right now, or I'll need it later, but right now I don't. Or if I'm going to discard something, why am I discarding it and not keeping it? And usually it's because there's something else I need. So I'm going to start a new game. You have two modes, standard and Zen. Of course, standard has the bears where you can be attacked, and that's just not me. I really don't care for it, so I always play Zen. For survival difficulty, there's three difficulties: easy, normal, and hard. I usually play normal, but for this one, I'm going to play the easy difficulty. And the reason for that is because there seems to be a few more resources available, especially like around the cabin when you're first starting. The food's a little easier to find, plants are a little easier to find, so it's just a little bit easier for me to be able to show the tips and tricks without taking longer than it should. This does take a little bit of time to load, so yeah, and bears do roam around some interesting loot areas. So that's can be fun, I suppose, but just not my thing. I just love the colors here. All right. So we start in this little glen and we have our cabin here. Well, what used to be a cabin. So of course we're going to have to build it. We also have some items here that are flashing, and that's one of the signs of things that you can pick up. If it's things you have to do something with, they will not flash. So let's go ahead and go to the cabin first. I'm using the WASD keys, of course, Shift W for running. Okay. All right, we need to repair the cabin. In order to do that, we're going to need 6 fir planks and 10 sticks. I want to press T. It's going to add the note here. So you can see there in red that shows that we have 0 planks and 0 sticks. As we pick those items up, that number will increment until it gets to the number we need, and then it will turn green. It will continue to increment, though, if we gather more items than that. Below that is our status icons. So we have how hungry we are, how tired we are, how our health is, and of course whether we're hot or cold or like that. And of course this at night is when the temperatures will drop. So that's where you'll start having problems. At the top right is the time of day indicator. Right now we're at sunrise. Daytime will have a full sun. There it goes. Nighttime will have the half sun with an arrow going down, and then of course for the moon for nighttime. At the bottom left are our tools. So we have right now just our hands available. Of course, as we add new tools like the pickaxe and the axe, those will go into the slots and you can switch between them by pressing the number. If you put things in storage, of course, they go away and you can put them back in and then rebind the keys. So let's start gathering the items. First item is a fir plank. Press tab to open your backpack. All right, in your backpack, you can see that we have 12 slots. as when you select an item, it will show you a photo of it or an image of it, the name, what the stack limit is in the backpack and in storage, and a short description. There will also be a discard key button, and if it's a food item, it'll have an eat button if it's edible at the time. Right, sticks are used for building and for doing some crafts. They also need to be used in the stove when you're cooking, so you'll need those. This is a button mushroom, so let's look at that one. The button mushroom has a stack limit of 10. It can be eaten raw and does fill you up a little bit. When it's cooked, it'll fill you up more, plus it will help with your health. This item over here is a ruby beet. I'm not going to go ahead and harvest it yet because I can't use it. It cannot be eaten raw. But once we get the stove, then I can start gathering it. But until then, it's just taking up room in my backpack that I don't have room for. Right. This is a golden chanterelle. It can be used, it's used in cooking, of course, but it can also be eaten raw. I'm trying not to move the mouse too fast so that it makes anyone dizzy. If you notice, I'm running right now, and you can see my stamina bar down there. As long as you're in the white, you're good to go. Once you start getting into the red, then you'll get a notice from the game that you need to slow down. If you don't, once you get to past the end of the red area, the game will automatically stop running and force you to walk until you regain your stamina. One thing I would suggest as you're going along is don't search around like this, like here. I mean, you can some if you're really looking for something, but if you do that a lot, you're going to miss items. You're still going to miss items, but you have even more of a chance of doing that by swinging the mouse around. I also found that I had to switch from my thumb trackball to just a regular 2-button mouse, so I wouldn't, if it wasn't so jerky, especially with fishing. I could not fish with the trackball. I couldn't keep the tension. Mouse. Okay, another thing, especially if you're moving too fast, you are going to miss some things. So there's all right, and you notice in our note that we have 7 fir planks and we have 13 sticks, so we have plenty to go out and build our cabin. There's another one. Let's go ahead and grab that one. If you're playing in normal mode, you will not have as many of the planks and sticks around. You'll have to go to another area, and that area, there's one that's behind the cabin. We'll go there next. All right, notice the E has a flashing circle that comes around it. That means we have enough to build. Now we have access to be able to sleep, to save our progress, and put things in storage. We also can add a cooking room, crafting room, and storage attic. I'm going to be adding the crafting room first. That way I can get the axe and map and compass. Yeah, there's our cabin. If you want to take pictures in game, press your F3, and that will say put a picture into your pictures folder. Now, one thing though, if you do move them out into another folder for like storage, when it's saved down to the folder again, it starts the number over at 1, which could be an issue if you're trying to copy them over to a storage area. Of course, you could create folders that are for each day. Like, so if you play on Monday, you have a folder dated with that date on it, put all the pictures for that day, and then on Tuesday, I have a folder with that date on it, and continue. So this is our cabin. We have some storage here. We have a desk where we save our progress. This is where the crafting room goes. This is the attic storage. This is, of course, the bed. We can't go to sleep yet. And this is where the cooking room is. So we're going to put here some stuff in storage. All right, we have one plank that we didn't use, and we have 4 sticks. So if you left click, things move over. If you right click, everything, the whole stack moves over. This is also very useful if you need some of your items but not all of them. So for example, if I need 3 sticks, I can move all of them over and then just move one back. And so instead of clicking 3 times, I only had to click twice. And that was the small example. But if you have something, let's say I have 10 sticks, I need 7, I can right click to move them all over and then move 3 back over and save 4 clicks or 3, whatever. You get what I mean. All right, so let's close this. I'm going to go save. One of the things that I do is I usually save almost as soon as I come back into the cabin and after I wake up. Especially if you wake up and you do things around the cabin, before you go out, make sure you save. If you're playing in normal or hard mode, then you are going to, and you get killed by the bear or whatever other dangerous animals are added, you'll lose all your progress. So, as I mentioned, if you're playing in normal mode, you're not going to find all the fir planks and wood around there. If you notice, I went back behind the cabin, and we're going to go back here. This right here, this is hoof fungus. You can eat it, but not eat it raw. So it has to be cooked. So I'm not going to gather that. It's also used in one of the items that you can craft. As you're going, go ahead and pick up as much food as you can. There's a bead, I don't need that. And sticks. This is a loot area. You can see there's a ruined watchtower here. Go here. This is a junk pile. Click E to hold to search. Alright, I need both of those. Okay, here's a metal storage crate. I need a lock pick. This is a wooden crate. I'm going to need an axe. When you're first starting out, go ahead and gather up just as much as the things that you can. And especially if once you have nails and bolts, uh, the bolts can be made from the steel pipe, but the steel pipes are few and far between most of the time. Seem to be a little more plentiful here in the easy mode, but most of the time they're not that easy to find. But as long as you have plenty of bolts in storage, go ahead and keep the pipes and get rid of the bolts. So same for the steel wire, because nails can be made out of steel wire. So I would rather keep that than the nails. All right. I forgot to put the note up for the crafting room. So when we go back, we'll do that. I'm not going to grab the seeds because I don't have a greenhouse yet, and they only have stack 1 per slot. So they take up room that I can't afford to give up right now. So we're going towards sundown. So we probably need to head back to the cabin. All right, I think I picked up everything here. So here you can see this icon here. This means that's home. So we can head that way. I'm heading back a slightly different way than I came there. No, this is the same way. And I'm hungry, so press tab. Let's eat a couple of these mushrooms, one of the chanterelle. We're good to go. Tab. Let's go ahead and mark this. So right now I have 7 out of the 12 fir planks I need. I have 5 steel wire, so 2 extra, And I still need 2 stump moss, but that was going to have to wait until tomorrow. So let's go ahead and put this stuff in storage. Now, one thing I do like to do, even though these items are noted on the screen, because I put things in storage, I may have things that in my storage that I don't show up right there in the tally. So I'll go ahead and write down the item that I'm looking for, what I need, how many I need, and then I'll look in my storage to see how many of each I already have, and I'll mark those off. So if I put fur plank 12, then I know I have 7. I'll put tick marks. So I'll do the 4 tick marks with a slash through it for 5. That way I can tell the difference between the numbers I need and how many I actually have. And then as I go along, as I get more of those items, I'll go ahead and mark them off until I know that I have enough for what I picked up and then what I have in storage. That way I can keep track of it without getting too much or too little. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead and save, but I'm not going to go to sleep right now because that starts the next day. And if I do more than one day on this, it the time on the videos can get really long, and I'd rather keep them short, and then we can create a playlist. So I hope you found this informative so far, and I'd love it if you guys would join me for the next episode. And please subscribe if you feel like it, and I'll be back with the next day soon.